John McCabe. Welcome to the show. Hey, welcome to the John A. McCabe Show, where it's all about accelerating your authority in your business or field of expertise. And I do that by helping entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed on any device, anywhere, anytime, in as little as 100 days, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. On today's show, my guest is someone who runs in the same marketing circles I do, and someone I've got to know very well over the past year. We've attended many of the same marketing conferences in San Diego over the years. I can't remember exactly which event. There have been so many, but we have known each other online for a few years now. A three-time #1 best-selling author, John North, is a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. John currently holds a number of titles, including CEO of Evolve Systems Group, Associate Diploma in Business Accounting, and Fellow of the Institute of Public Accountants. Now, John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic and smarter about their marketing efforts. Now, he constantly pushes the envelope of what's possible in this modern era and is widely regarded among his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Now, over the past 6 months, John has focused on building his Evolvepreneur brand and company, which is a new way to develop your skills as an online entrepreneur in this modern age. Now, I've personally started working with John on streamlining and automating some of my business and marketing processes, and I can tell you that John really knows his stuff. You want to pay close attention to what John talks about and take notes on some of the systems he talks about and think about implementing them into your business. Now, one strategy John is using to grow his Evolvepreneur brand is by creating a virtual summit where he brings together 19 world-changing experts and through interviews, hacks into their mindset with respect to growing their business. So today on the show, we'll get into the details of building a virtual summit, the best ways to structure the event for maximum exposure, how to capitalize on the attention, as well as the details of the upcoming summit, which I'm a guest on. Now, we're going to talk about what guests you can expect on the upcoming summit and what you're going to get out of attending the event. So be sure to stick around, because when I come back just after this short clip, I'll be joined by my friend and colleague, John North. Hey, and welcome back. On today's show, I'm joined by my friend and colleague, John North. As the CEO of Evolvepreneur, John has embarked into a very time-intensive strategy to build and grow the Evolvepreneur brand by bringing 19 world-changing experts together and interviews them to hack the entrepreneur's mindset. Now, today, John's going to share with us what it actually took to put that virtual summit together, and we're going to get into a little bit more details on this particular summit itself. Now, John's a three-time #1 best-selling author. He's a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. Now, John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic and smarter about their marketing efforts. He consistently pushes the envelope of what's possible in this modern era and is widely regarded among his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Now, along with consulting and working with clients on their businesses, John has also been working very hard at building and growing the Evolvepreneur brand that is focused on a new way to develop your skills as an online entrepreneur in this modern age. So please give it up with likes, love, shares, and a virtual flurry of thumbs up and heart icons across the screen for my guest today, John North. How you doing, John?
G'day, how you going? I'm going great. It's a reasonable time of the day. 8 a.m. Good day.
Just one sec, John. I am not hearing you.
Yep, I'm good for audio here.
Okay, so let me double check to make sure I'm plugged in here.
We'll be talking. No,
I was hearing you earlier.
Yeah, it's fine. I haven't touched anything on it.
But I'm not able to. So, John, I'm not sure if something happened while we were off or while we were waiting to come online. But I never changed anything, but I'm not getting any volume from you. Did you mute your
Good.
Zoom at all?
No, it's all good. Can you hear me at all?
Do you have Zoom muted?
No. Didn't touch anything.
Do you see the volume? Technical challenges. You see the volume move on the lower left-hand side in Zoom when you're talking?
Let me see.
On
Yeah,
the
it's
little.
it's coming from my side. So it's
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Mm.
So can I get you to log out of Zoom and then come back in?
Okay.
So sorry everybody who's watching. Just some technical difficulties. John and I were actually on earlier prior to going live, and we were having a conversation, and I could hear him perfectly clear. I'm just going to double check all of my settings, and of course it was me. I just realized what I did. So I actually muted my computer. So that's why I couldn't hear him. You were probably able to hear him, but John, I discovered the issue. I actually muted my computer. So while you and I were talking, and I was adding stuff onto the the pre-roll was running. I was adding in those links, and so I had to turn the volume off on my computer while I was doing that, which obviously muted, so I couldn't hear you. So there was probably a good chance that people could hear you, but I just couldn't hear you.
Well, like I didn't say anything. I didn't think about you at all.
So anyway, John, welcome to the show. Like I said, for those who haven't done so already, just give John some love by hitting that like button, love button, and give him some heart icons and some thumbs up here. And
Cool.
So you've been quite busy, John. Thanks for taking the time out. I know it's early in the morning in Australia, but thanks for taking the time out. I know you have a summit running for the next 3 days, which we'll get into a little bit, but thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no, it's not too bad. It's only 8 a.m. here, so it's actually quite a reasonable time of the day. It's almost awake.
Unlike last time you were on, I believe it was 6 a.m. your time, the show starts.
Yeah.
Normally.
It's not fun.
We're doing a special episode today at 3 p.m. just to accommodate John's schedule. But like I said, he does have the summit running today.
Yep. Yeah, so, first day today.
Yeah, the very first day. So we're going to get into that in a little bit. So what else have you been up to, John? We'll just do some general chit-chat before we really dig into the questions about the summit. So has your time really been consumed in the last couple of months with the summit? Have you been able to still work with other entrepreneurs and business owners?
Basically, yeah. I mean, it's been a bit of a struggle to try and do both. So I gave myself about 4 months to do it. So it started about November, but it all come to a crashing halt in the last couple of weeks when the deadline started to get closer. So nothing like a hard deadline to make you pick up and do as much as you can. So yeah, it's been we've sort of slowed down a bit of the client work. So I've kind of been probably the first time in probably a few years I've actually tried to avoid work. Because I couldn't do both. It's a bit of a transit. It's a mindset thing. In fact, in some respects, the whole thing, even with the fact that I was, studying other people's mindsets by interviewing all these guys and different ideas and stuff, it actually gets you thinking.
Right.
And if nothing else, I learned a fair bit from all the different people interviewed. So I always got something out of each interview that, like I thought, oh, that's great,
Yeah,
so,
to take to coin a phrase or use a phrase that Gary Vaynerchuk uses quite often is your core business is helping entrepreneurs or business owners grow their business through marketing, helping them become best-selling authors. This is kind of your side hustle, growing this business, which we're going to get into a little bit more. So as with most people, time is a commodity that we all have the same amount of. So it can become very challenging running your core business, making sure that you have money coming in on a regular basis that's paying the bills, and especially a labor-intensive or time-intensive side hustle such as creating a virtual summit.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing too is that it makes you really think about everything you do. So once you've actually got that extra pressure on top of you to try and figure out, how much do I take this client on or not, because maybe it's not viable. Is it going to be too much time? You start thinking differently. Yeah. So it's quite interesting, to me, from the journey of listening to some of these entrepreneurs and the way they think and what they do. and sort of looking and going, oh, okay, you start making some decisions on your own. And really the biggest problem that I have is that on a one-on-one basis, it's very difficult to change many people's lives.
Right.
So that's part of the idea of the platform to allow us to try and, do it in a multiple way so that people can actually get, like the summit is a great way to try and get people to get a lot of information fairly cheaply without having to be able to, do it one-on-one with them.
Now,
So
did you have to implement almost like a project management sort of methodology to task it all out to make sure that you're able to get your core business work done at the same time as working on building and growing the summit? Because there's various aspects to this summit which we'll get into. It's not just about you have to get the people, you have to book the people, you have to interview the people, you have to edit the film, you have to market the entire thing, you have to set up the websites. I mean, there's lots of aspects. So how much sort of in-depth project management sort of methodology did you use in creating or sort of mapping out the last 4 months?
Well, basically what I did originally, I did a bit of a business plan and I had a to-do list, and I think, trying to break it into chunks to see, okay, which months, so we sort of themed the months a little bit as well.
Yes.
So March was like, obviously the final month, but February was my month to do interviews. So I wanted to try and set everything up in January because I knew that wouldn't get much sense out of it after Christmas. So set up for February to do all the interviews, although I did a few late ones. But the idea was to theme it. So, this month I'm working on this, next month I'm working on that.
Right.
So that I didn't kind of get sidetracked because I knew that certain things had to be done beforehand. So, I had a big giant to-do list. Interesting enough, I did a longer list than I probably could have achieved. So what I did is start dropping things off, which is fine. I knew that I'd have to drop a few things off along the way that I wanted to do, but didn't have the time. So, I think it's great to have a full list, but don't beat yourself up if you don't get some of it done. I think the bulk of it was done that we needed to get done, but some of the, idiosyncrasies that I wanted to do, maybe I'll fix it later. But so it was a fairly big task list, but we got there in the end. And also I try to keep the team pretty low in terms of who was working on it, because it's hard to get the big picture unless you're sitting in the middle of it. So
right.
No one's saying to somebody, I need this image. They go, what sort of image do you want? Like, I don't know. When I see it, I'll see it, So it is. And the reality is that and I kind of worked on a model that you can almost do this on your own. And it's sort of like a bit of a test run to see what would happen if you could almost do most of it on your own and just pull in the technical people that you needed to fix up things that you couldn't do. So it could be a full-time job. Like I have seen some people do this as a full-time job. Yeah,
I believe that there's people in our marketing community that do this on a regular basis.
Yeah. How they do, like I've done 19 interviews. That really nearly killed me. Like trying to get 19 done in a month is pretty hard work. I don't know how some guys do 60, 80 interviews. I really don't. I mean, obviously there's a lot more work that they've probably outsourced other people so they can sit there and do the interviews. But right. I'll tell you what, doing a 1 hour interview means it's, they're probably 2 to 3 hours each time.
Oh, so you don't have to tell me, John, you're preaching the choir. I know what goes into building this 1 hour show.
Yeah, exactly. So what they don't see is all the scuffle around the background that you're trying to get things working. So I think, it's a big task. Like it's not for the faint-hearted, I've got to tell you.
No. Hey, if you guys are just joining us, please type any questions you want me to ask John, and we'll try to get to him before the end of the show. If not, we'll answer them in Facebook comments. And if you're just joining us, I'm speaking with 3-time #1 best-selling author John North. He's a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. Now, John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic and smarter about their marketing efforts. He constantly pushes the envelope of what's possible in the modern era and is widely regarded amongst his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Now, along with consulting and working with clients on their businesses, John has also been working very hard at building and growing the Evolvepreneur brand that is focused on a new way to develop your skills as an online entrepreneur in this modern age. So, like I said, if you have any questions or comments, just type them in the chat. Please make sure you love, share this video on your Facebook feed as well as any business pages that you belong to. And I'm just going to do some quick shout outs. I see that Heidi's joined us and Sandy's joined us as well from the UK. So welcome, guys. And if you're watching this, just type your name in the chat and just let us know where you're from. And also, if you have any specific questions that either have for myself or John and we'll definitely do our best to get them answered. So, John, walk us through the thought process when you came up with the idea of hosting a virtual summit, 4+ months ago. From a brand or business point of view, what is the desired outcome that you were looking for to get out of the event?
Well, I think the first part about it was when I first started thinking about what I was doing about a summit, one of the recommendations is to niche it down as best you can to try and get as close to the market you want. And so when I actually first set it up, I realized that the size of the summit that I was going to do was too big. So we ended up in a situation where we're looking at a situation where we had, I wanted to do marketing, I wanted to do publishing, I wanted to do all these things, and realized that the subject was too wide. So what we really wanted to do was find people who, for want of a better word, a mindset that had a different approach to things or a thought process, because I think that's the first place to start. So right. Part of this process is to figure out, and I don't even know whether we got this right exactly, but try and figure out the mindset of people, try to figure out what they do on a daily basis, what they've done to get where they got to and that kind of thing, rather than just saying, hey, go do these 5 steps. And some of the times in some of the interviews we have focused on that as part of the strategy part of it. Okay. But the idea was to figure out how do they think? What do they do that's what's successful? So people can kind of get some, moments out and think, oh yeah, that could try that. So that was really what we wanted to do. So part of then the process was to figure out who we're going to have as guests. And what I ended up doing is I did go fairly wide. I went out to some fairly big names. Jim Edwards was one of them, and he was gracious enough to come on. Mike Kennogs came on. And so what we did is we found some really good ones that were fairly well known, but then I sort of started working through the people I knew, and what I realised was knew a lot of people. Yeah. The one thing about it is a lot of people. And so, and then I did things like did a bit of cyber stalking. You start mentioning them in social media, and I actually had one, Kelly Roach, where I just liked what she did. So I just typed a name into LinkedIn and suddenly got this message from Kelly, how can I help you, Yeah. And so it's interesting how it comes about. So what I didn't really want to do is go in cold and not really interview people I didn't really know. I wanted to make sure that, I at least knew them well or knew of them to start with and build a relationship with them. So that's part of the process, was that I wanted to be more personal. I didn't want it to be too cold and it's like I've interviewed someone that, I've never met before, I have no idea about them. So that was really the thought process of trying to make sure that we kind of pulled off a summit it was very different than anything else you'd see. And we also didn't allow much in the way of PowerPoints and stuff like that. I think we did one very short sort of PowerPoint slide presentation. That was about it. So it was all face-to-face. Yeah,
I was just going to say most of them were just sort of face-to-face conversations between you and the other party. Now, since you were trying to stick to a common theme or a common niche, were there common questions that you asked, all your guests, or did it just sort of you just let it flow however it flowed?
I did start off with standard questions. I mean, initially in the first couple of interviews, particularly the larger, sort of the better well-known ones, I started with a bit of a script. And what I realised was that, number one, that's going to sound awfully boring down the track. Yeah. If I had the same script every time, it's almost like rinse and repeat. So it's quite funny, actually. What we did is I had about 3 or 4 questions. I talked to them initially, get a few questions out of them that they wanted to talk about, so the stuff that they were comfortable talking about, which most of these guys are professionals. They can just go on for hours on. So it's not like, they're scratching for information. Yeah. But just, broad, sort of niche stuff. And then really just take the flow of the interview. If I spotted something or caught on to something that sounded interesting, I'd go after that. And that way they all were very different. So I kind of evolved over the process to a little degree too. So there's quite a few interviews where it started one way and towards the end of it was different. Mm-hmm. The thing is, it may not be quite as consistent because the interviews were then repositioned in different times, at different days. Right. So, I'll know where the transitions were between where I sort of changed what I was doing. But when people are watching, it's not going to make any sense to them because they're all interviewed out of order. Like, the first interview off the day was almost the last one I did. So it's interesting how that kind of, each interview is very different. Yeah. But I just went after them, try and find, stuff they probably wouldn't normally say, not their standard kind of, presentation. I wanted something else. And,
So when you made the decision to make all this happen, if I remember, you said you gave yourself around a 4-month time frame to put the entire project together. So what kind of help or support did you reach out for, and what what aspects of the project did you actually get help in doing?
Well, one of the things that I just didn't want to launch a virtual summit. I really want to make stuff tough for myself. So what I basically did is I decided part of the reason for the summit, which is kind of back to the original question, was we wanted to launch the evolvepreneur.club platform. So we wanted to, because part of the platform was to create content for people to be able to learn. So it fits in nicely. So it's a very fast way to create a course, right?
Right.
And reality is I'm not having to pay anybody for it. So the one nice thing about it is there's no cost involved. The speakers are giving up the time for free. We essentially can repurpose the content. So there's nothing else. We're creating products around it. So that's one of the big reasons. So getting the platform up and running, I found myself a great little programmer in the UK that did a lot of shortcut stuff, which is really where I needed to sort of be. So if someone signs up for the summit, I didn't want them going through a whole checkout process.
Right.
We counted, it was 9 steps. And it's like, that's just too many. It's too many for me, right?
That's probably 8 too many.
Yeah, 8 too many. So basically, we just created a simple registration form, and that basically does the whole lot.
Yeah.
And so they fill in their details, and suddenly the checkout's done, it's all finished, and they're up and running. So that was a little bit different to a lot of other summits where you really just buying a ticket, that's it. You need to get sent a link. So that was a tough part to get that right. And we spent quite a few months getting that kind of area right. I can't draw for nuts, so I stick men are my challenge. I can't even draw stick men. Right? So I don't have a career as an artist. So I've got a designer that I use to try and get all the design work done and stuff like that. So that's probably the areas that I'm sort of weak at, that I don't try and do. As soon as I realise that I'm wasting too much time on something, I stop. And I've got a couple of outsourced, people that do some of the heavy lifting, like formatting things and designing stuff. So
right.
That's kind of the area was time consuming. I didn't want to get caught up with the minutiae of that. But pretty much everything else I did myself, it was a learning curve. Like video editing is something I've never really been strong in either. We still aren't, but I learn a lot more around it. My son's learning at school, so I've got him involved a few times.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And it's also I've discovered this in doing my show, and I have an outsourcer that does some of my editing, but they really don't know what it is you're trying to achieve. The editor, unless they're really an editor that really understands, has been doing this. I don't mean an editor from the technical standpoint. I mean from sort of a storyline standpoint and what you're trying to achieve, telling that story throughout that half hour or 1 hour or where you want to take people on a journey or things like that. Almost like just like in the movies, right? It's an interview, but there's really more to it than just doing an interview. And I screwed up there. I'll cut that piece out and then put it together. So yeah,
a little clacker. Put that in.
Let me do another take here.
Yeah, exactly. That way I could actually go back and check later because a couple of months later you go and watch the interview and you think, oh, there's a mistake there. We stopped there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right, because at the end of the day, most of the interviews flowed. There was very few times. The only times we ever had to edit, usually, was that we had a dropout. Like we just did before, we had to drop. I'd go in and out again.
Yeah.
That happened occasionally, but most of the interview was straight. So it's really, do the front and the back, and you're done. So that wasn't too bad. And I sort of set myself up that way. I didn't want to have to do a lot of edits later on. It's going to be that's very time consuming.
Yeah, I completely understand. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with 3-time #1 best-selling author John North. He's a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. John's passion is to help other business owners become more strategic and smarter about their marketing efforts. He constantly pushes the envelope of what's possible in this modern era and is widely regarded amongst his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Along with consulting and working with clients on their businesses, John has also been working very hard at building and growing the Evolvepreneur brand that is focused on a new way to develop your skills as an online entrepreneur in this modern age. So if you have any questions or comments, just type them in the comment section and we'll get to them during the show. And as always, if we can't get to them during the show, we'll answer them after the show. And make sure that you like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed, along with any business pages that you are part of. Now, John, what were some of the biggest challenges that you came across putting the summit together, and how did you overcome those challenges?
I think the biggest part is the marketing side, and part of the problem is that because I'm doing the interviews, and the interviews they're mostly in February, but they fell into March as well.
Yeah.
So what happened was, here I am March was marketing month, all right. So I ended up probably about half March got chewed up with interviews and other stuff. So basically, I've got a very tight time frame to try and do things. So because you can't really do a lot of marketing until I've got the interviews done, right? Because I don't know what they're really going to be about. So it's like a catch-22. So we got to sort of that process, but then trying to pull it all together, figuring out what emails to send, what websites to do, what pages to create. Like we use ClickFunnels, which for the summit side of things, and that's a lot quicker to develop things. And trying all that stuff is very challenging because there's lots of little moving parts, and one thing doesn't work, then the whole thing doesn't work.
Right.
And that's really the challenging part and time-consuming part. And then you go through it, you test it, and then someone else can test it, and realise it doesn't work, you go fix it. So I've realised yesterday that one of the videos had no audio. Like it's my landing page or it's my upgrade page and got no audio. And whatever happened, I don't know what's happening. The software just wouldn't put the audio in, so I ended up working around it. But, I didn't realise that until afterwards. So I had to go back and fix something. So, yeah, that back-end process is very time-consuming and very delicate. And so that's the part that's the most challenging for me, is to try and make sure that those bits work. And try not to do that when you're tired because you sort of brush over stuff. It's almost like doing your own editing for your book, right?
Yeah.
You don't do your own editing for your own book or your own proofreading. And I think that's similar to this process. You've got to try and make sure other people test it as well. And so that's probably the hardest part, is pulling that marketing together and making sure it all kind of flows.
Yeah, you have a clear picture of what you're expecting, so you just sort of brush over things as opposed to paying detailed attention to what's actually going on. And having an extra set of eyes or somebody that walks through it step by step to to take a look at it and see what is missing, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be changed, is definitely beneficial.
I've got a friendly client that pretty much blows anything up you give her. So I say, look, I'll point at something and say, go do this and see how you go. So sometimes it's good not to pick someone who's too good at doing stuff. Like,
right.
Almost, I think Mike coined the phrase lizard brain. And I think that's really what you got to find. You got to look at it in the lizard brain way. Like when I try and look at I'm first to hear, but it's very hard. So you can find someone who's doing that kind of thought process and they've got no idea what they're looking at. It's really handy to have that set of eyes. Otherwise, you just brush over and think it works. And that's what happened. I mean, I didn't listen to the video because, I didn't it works.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But, and whoever tested it didn't bother to listen to the video. So, they probably saw a bit of music at the start, thought it was fine, didn't finish listening to it and realised it was all music, nothing else.
So, John, how does a virtual summit actually work? Can you walk us through sort of in layman's terms, from the viewer's perspective, like how does this whole thing work? What is a virtual summit? How does this whole thing work? Yeah. What can someone expect?
Well, I think one of the things is that there's ways and means to do summits and ways not to do summits. And one of the things that I guess I actually went out and got a lot of information on, spent thousands of dollars trying to figure out the blueprints. And one of the things is it's got to look professional. And one of the actual speakers said to me that our summit looked so much more advanced. They'd been approached by someone else and it didn't look very good. It looked very basic, looked very rough. And I think that's something you've got to be really careful of. So when you do anything like this, the front end of it, the pretty shiny stuff that people see, needs to be nice. Yeah. They don't see that. So initially got the summit pages up early. So the idea behind it is you interview people. Now, ideally do a live summit would be great, but the logistics of it's pretty difficult. Maybe I'll get you to do one for me later. But you know what I mean? Like logistically doing it live like we're doing now, doing that 19 times and making it all work in 1 week, it's very stressful. So what we do is we pre-record the interviews and then we set them up for certain, 5 days of the week. So the Monday to Friday. And like today we've got 5 interviews. And then we go through 3 or 4 a day from there. So the idea is that you lay them out in order and roll them out each day. And then what you're doing is we give away a free ticket for people to view on that day. And if they want to view it all, you have all access to the expensive access pass. So the idea behind it is 2 things. One is that you're spreading content out and creating content. But secondly, you're also creating a database and list of people, and you're leveraging other people's lists and stuff like that. So it's an interesting concept. It's almost like you're going to 19 people and saying, hey, would you partner with me to generate some traffic?
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. Now they get something out of it because they're getting some credibility. They're getting leads, perhaps. They're getting all sorts of stuff. So they're happy. They're getting that stuff. We're happy because we're driving it. So it's almost like you're marketing 19 people in 1 week. So it's kind of different. But the idea behind it is really it can be then evergreen. Like we can just put that summit on evergreen and people can watch it any time. Probably most information will just stay relevant for a couple of years even.
Yeah.
And the other thing is don't try to make it too data orientated when you're doing this sort of stuff.
So you're always able to, if you make it evergreen, you're always capturing new leads, driving new traffic there, and building your database for your business so that you can reach out to them and potentially market them on other information or products or services that you're offering.
Yeah, so it's an interesting marketing concept. It's probably a lot more work than I thought. I mean, looking back now, 6 months would have been better.
Yeah.
But the reality is that no matter how long you would have had, you still would have run out of time, right?
Yeah, just wait till the last minute anyway. If you're anything like me, it's just last minute.
Yeah, we rushed down. So yeah, I mean, you can plan so much, but like I said, I didn't know what the interviews were going to be like. I didn't know what the topics were ultimately going to be. I mean, I didn't write the copy for the actual names of the interviews until later. Mm-hmm. So you really can't do stuff too much in advance because you don't know. People might not show up to the interview. Like I can't think of anybody. I don't think anybody who committed didn't show up.
Right.
Like if they committed, they were right. They showed up. Some took harder to get hold of than others, but I should have a go to Indy Falco because he was the one that he was the first one asked and the last one I interviewed.
So I can understand, from say a person that you're looking to interview, maybe if they're not as well known, I can definitely see the appeal of them wanting to be on the summit. I was fortunately I was a guest that was asked to be on it, and I definitely saw the benefits of being on the summit. Obviously, I'm looking to grow my exposure, my brand, share my message with as many people as possible, and really build up my authority in what it is, the specific business or field of expertise that I'm focusing on. So I can see, the attraction from someone like myself who, is not necessarily, just getting started, but been in doing a specific business, made a transition, and really looking to generate, a much larger following. What in your opinion, what do you feel is the benefit for someone like a Mike Koenigs or a Jim Edwards who has already has a very widely recognized name, they are considered sort of authorities or gurus in their space. What is the attraction to them to be part of a summit like this?
It's actually interesting because when you just take it back a step, when you look at the speaker setup, you've got to be really careful that you don't end up with all well-known people and or people that nobody knows, right? So you've got to have a mix. Mainly because the bigger guys won't necessarily promote you. So that's the downside of it too. So for them, they don't need to get anything out of it because they're not necessarily going to promote you. So you need other people that are keen and hungry to be able to promote you as well because they want to get their message out. So having a mix of them is really important. Interesting enough with those guys, you don't really have to say much. You just go and I'd like to interview for you my podcast, my summit, and they pretty much say yes or no. Mm-hmm. And away you go. So like they didn't really ask for anything. I think to them it's an ego thing to a degree. Nothing else. It's like, oh well, I've been interviewed on this kind of thing, and I think being asked to be interviewed is enough for them and be able to give out information. And I think part of the reason is, and I'm actually reading, I've got the first couple of chapters of Russell Bronson's book, which is how to create a culture, right? And I think one of the things is that part of that process is giving out a lot of information, a lot of content, valuable content. And that's what they do. Like they know that by doing that, they're creating that cult of people that are going to follow them in a nice way. You know what I mean? Like it's not like, at the end of the day, you create those people, those 1,000 people they talk about that you might, if you can get 1,000 people to follow you and like you and buy stuff from you, you've got a business.
Yeah, they're building that community, and we belong to the same communities, and there is that sort of feel of a community, and everybody is helping everybody, and the individuals who are following you have done a great job at creating that environment, that community. So you feel that's what a lot of these sort of well-known individuals are looking to create.
Trying to give back. Yeah, they're trying to give back. They feel like they that's their job now. Now, interesting secret I found through this whole process of interviewing these guys. Well, two things really. One is the more successful they are, the more organised they are. Mm-hmm. So, getting the interview with them and getting it all set up, so much easier. They've got PAs that sort it out. They show up on time. They're pros at it. They do it all the time.
Right.
One of the things they do is they create a lot of content. So some of the interviews with, like, the guy from Dave, basically he runs a product called Hubstaff, business apps. A couple of those guys do very little marketing as such. They do a lot of blog content. They create a lot of content, create a lot of videos. They create a lot of stuff.
Right.
In reality, it doesn't cost them much, right? And you look at it and think these guys are creating lots of content, right? Whereas the lesser known people don't create as much content, and you can see the difference. So their schedule, they know they've got to create content. They do it all the time. I've noticed I was actually stalking someone that's kind of built a membership system because I've got to study that.
Right.
And what I do is he writes an email every day, right? Every day I get an email from him.
Yeah.
It's sort of conversational. And so they reckon you should email your database every day. And it's like, whoa. But, when you think about it, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, they all email you every day, lots of times a day. Do you complain? Do you unsubscribe? No. Because it's content for you, right?
You read what you want to read and
exactly.
Delete what you don't want to read.
Yeah, so that's the interesting thing. The difference is these guys create content. So by being asked to do an interview, to them it's just autopilot. Content. I'm creating content. And they just say yes. So it's a very different mindset. To force yourself into creating that content. It's like when we did your interview about the 100 Days Business Accelerator, it's all about creating content, but it's about, figuring out how to do it.
Forcing yourself to do it, making the goal, and just persevering day in, day out, and just creating it. And, with a lot of them, it's not just creating it, obviously, because you can create as much content as you want if you're not doing anything with that content, not promoting that content, not distributing or engaging on that, distributing or engaging on that content, then your following's not going to grow as much as you'd like it to. If you guys are just joining us, I'm speaking with 3-time #1 best-selling author John North. He's a versatile and experienced entrepreneur with a solid background in accounting, banking, finance, personal development, IT, marketing, and business management. John's passion is to help business owners become more strategic and smarter about their marketing efforts. He constantly pushes the envelope of what's possible in this modern era, and is widely regarded among his peers as very innovative and highly creative in his approach. Along with consulting and working with clients on their business, John has been working very hard at building and growing Evolvepreneur brand that is focused on a new way to develop your skills as an online entrepreneur in this modern age. So if you have any questions you want me to ask John, just type them in the comment field and we'll try to get to them. And if we can't get to them during the show, we'll address them afterwards. And as always, please like, love, and share this video on your Facebook feed and in any business pages that you belong to. So John, is the summit free, or is there a cost associated to watching all the interviews? And just a follow-up question to that. What's the difference between a day pass and an all pass?
Yeah, so basically what we've done is and it's kind of a fairly good model that I've followed from other summits, is that we give away a free pass. It's a free ticket. Now you can watch the actual interviews. Like, for example, you got a free pass today, you get to be able to watch the interviews for 24 hours.
Right.
And then after that, they're turned off, and then you get to watch the next lot. So that's great for people who want to see a specific thing, or or got the time to sit there all day and watch them, right? Mm-hmm. So the idea is that it's a marketing thing, I guess. At the end of the day, like, we'll give it something for free. If they want it, they can watch it all. But if they want to come back later, like me, and I want to watch that interview and I've missed it now, it's almost like TV, right? You forgot to put the record button on.
Right.
So the all pass is really inexpensive, and the idea behind it is that you get access to everything all time for forever on demand. Also, we've done action guides and transcripts and MP3 audios of the actual interview. So we're adding a lot of value. So it's almost like you're buying a full marketing course, if you like, or a mindset course. And the idea behind it then is we give a lot of value in that All Pass. So the All Pass lets them in to everything, and they can watch the interviews, go backwards and forwards if they like. So that's really the difference between the two. We give everybody a free ticket to start with, and they can choose whether they want to buy an All Pass on the way through.
So the free ticket is just good for one day, so they can watch all of the interviews on that one day. But then once that one day expires, it's not like they can go back and watch them. Is that the way it works?
That's right. So we lock off that day, so they can go back and watch that day. They're really moving forward. So think about it like a real conference, right? You get a free ticket. Someone says to you, can you come to the conference, get a free ticket, and you can go along and you can just wander around and watch whatever you want to watch, right? That's kind of what we do. Like, it's just a free day pass to walk around. But other people might want to get into the VIP area. They might want to attend some stuff they didn't normally get for the general public. So that's really what the difference is. If you think about it like a real summit,
right,
that's the same kind of thing. So it's almost like a VIP pass that you can get into, access all areas. So, so it's a great way to give people, they're quite welcome to have all the content then, and they've got access to it. So it's a great way to build a database. You don't want to just be selling something off the page. It's very difficult.
Now I've gone ahead, and in the comment field you'll notice a link to the Evolvepreneur. It's actually to my page where it talks about what I'm going to be speaking about. But just underneath that, you can actually click on the link to get your day pass, or you can click on the link to get your All Pass. That gives you basically lifetime access to all of the interviews out of this summit. Or you can win every day and just click on the day pass and just watch the interviews of that particular day. So I've included that in the comment section. So if you want access to that, just go ahead and click on that and get yourself logged in. So John, can you walk us through some of the strategies that you're using to get people to come and watch the summit? So you had mentioned that you were get sort of tied up up till the middle of March, so that sort of depleted or lessened the amount of time that you could spend on the marketing activities to get people to the summit. So what strategies are you using to get people to come and actually watch the summit?
Well, part of the thing is we did a deal with Webinar Jam to get some prizes. So we put a prize pool of about $4,000 together. And one of the strategies right now is we're using viral sharing. So that's one thing that you got to think about too, is that if you can get other people to share and they're part of your own sort of inner circle, their friends are going to be a little like that as well. So basically, you've got to be a situation where if they're sharing something, their friends are going to see it, and they're kind of what your target market is. So sharing is great, and we run that campaign where every time they share, they get a draw. So we've got 12 months worth of free Webinar Jam, or 12 months of Evergreen, or Everwebinar, plus a few other bunch of prizes, including we've given away a premium membership for Evolvepreneur as well, which is about $400 worth. So we've added up all these prizes from the speakers that they've given us. Right. Then we'll draw them out. So one of the things is to try and get some prizes involved. And again, it's not costing anything because these guys are giving away their own stuff, so it's not really a cost to them. But it's valuable because we didn't want anything that's, if they have to go to the website, they have to go buy this. So if they want this, they have to pay for it. So it's not like, I'll chuck something together and, it's really worth $300, but I would give it away for free anyway. They don't. They actually charge for this stuff. So that's one thing, is trying to do a viral sharing. And there's a few steps involved depending on what you do, but that's an important way to kind of do it and get a bit of traffic. And just in the moment, we're pounding a lot of social media stuff. So we push a lot of things up. We push up each speaker. So you've got to think about this. We're promoting someone to come. So when you're thinking about a summit or a conference you run, right, who do you promote? You promote the speakers. Right. So that's one thing the speakers are getting out of it too, is they're getting all this extra promotion they wouldn't normally get. So we're really focusing on their stories and getting that up into Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and talking about them. And that humanizes it a bit and then gets that traffic back. And, Facebook groups and running some Facebook ads and stuff like that. So, and emails and, it's like pretty much throwing everything at it. We're doing it probably.
And doing a live show like this.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you getting a lot of participation from the speakers themselves to help in promote? I know I've promoted on Facebook, on Twitter, doing the live show today to help promote it some more. So, I'm probably not as active, maybe mailing my list as other people, but I'm doing some social stuff. And like I said, we'll do the live show. Are you getting a lot of participation from, at various degrees from all the participants?
We are getting a fair bit from different participants, and some are different to others. Like I think as the week goes on, I think we'll get more done. One of our speakers decided to go and get married, and so like you should have put that off, right? So
exactly.
Right? And he said, I'm a bit distracted. I'm getting married in 2 weeks. And I said, okay, fair enough. And funny enough, a couple of them were actually on holidays right on the summit. So you believe that? So it's like, but the thing was that all doing different levels of assistance. So it depends on the members. So we wanted to hopefully rely on them to help promote, but we also have to be self-sufficient. So I think relying on other people is just a tip in business. If you rely on other people, you're doomed.
Yeah.
I mean, because people will let you down, not because they do it deliberately. It's just that they get busy, they overcommit, and then they'll drop you off because something else is more important, So I think never rely on other people if that's the only thing you're going to be relying on. So we've already built a market up, we're listed stuff like that, and I've been growing that kind of mindset for a while. So yeah, so whilst every time a speaker promotes us, it's cream on top. Like that's wonderful. We really appreciate it. But if we actually just relied only on the speakers, we'd be dead in the water real quick. Because there's only so much they can do, and they won't concentrate. Like they'll send it out, maybe that's it, right? They might send an email broadcast, do something that'll be the end of the promotion. They won't focus on it the whole week.
No,
you're going to be doing so. Yeah. So it's like a combination.
The majority of people have a lot of things going on that are specific to their business or their personal life, and so a lot of things will end up sort of on the wayside. Unfortunately, promoting the summit will sometimes end up there. So as the person behind the summit, it's important for you to have a number of different proven strategies in place to promote it, so that even if none of the other speakers promoted it, you would still have strategies and still be able to attract attention of people coming to the summit.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part. And I mean, my strategy here was to throw everything at it. Everything I knew, I was going to throw at this.
Yeah.
And so it's also a test run too, to see what works and what sticks. So we had the platform, we built the membership up, we've been pulling in email addresses, we did free reports, we did, landing pages, Facebook ads, building social media, pretty much you name it. We've tried to do it and throw everything possible at this thing to see what actually works. And but the thing is that it's a concentrated event, and really you've only got a week to do it. But then after that, you still can keep promoting.
Right.
It's just it's a different kind of strategy because it's not technically live. And one of the things we're running at the end of the week, I think on Thursday, you're coming actually, to the Q&A hot seat. And the idea is that we've got some speakers to come along and people can ask questions. So it's not a live hot seat to be able to do it. So part of the summit wasn't just to make it completely pre-recorded. We wanted to have some involvement. So we had a kickoff yesterday where we had some, live webinar and sort of go over the logistics of it. So it's like a pre-briefing.
Right.
And then we have a Q&A hot seat on Thursday. So it's about getting some participation and some involvement in that scenario as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I know that I got my invite to the hot seat, and I accepted it, and I wasn't exactly, I never did follow up with you to say to find out exactly what it is you need me for or what's going on here. So what we'll be doing is you'll have several of the speakers on so that anybody can actually come in and ask them specific questions. Is that how?
Yeah, that's the idea. Yeah, that's the idea. So basically, something they wanted to know, they could get some advice. So any attendees can come along to the hot seat. They won't be able to speak, so they can only type in the questions. So there's no pressure on them.
Right.
More pressure on the speakers. And we're using the new webinar technology, or the webinar gem technology, where we can have multiple people on the screen.
Okay.
The only thing that will be challenging is obviously making sure they mute themselves and unmute themselves, because we'll have too much background noise otherwise. But a bit like the old Google Hangout scenario. But so we really just allow them all to be on the screen so people can see them, and we'll handle the questions, and we'll just sort of see what comes out of that. So really, it's a fairly sort of session that you don't really know what will happen, who will ask what. And I think that's what it's all about in live, right? What's going to happen next.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that on Thursday, and hopefully we'll have a good turnout, and hopefully have some great questions, and people will, have spent some time going through, if not all of the 19 interviews, at least the majority of the interviews, so that they can ask specific, some specific speakers exactly. Some specific questions with regards to maybe they didn't quite understand something that they talked about, or they can follow up with them and get the information that's going to be relevant to them, that can help them, that they can implement into their business and potentially help them grow their business or their brand or their field of expertise.
Exactly, and I think that's the way to work it. And it's a test run to see what sort of people will come along and ask questions. Really, it's like put your hand up and say, "Hey, what about this?"
Yeah. So the last question I have for you, John, are who are some of the speakers that you have lined up? What kind of topics? And can the viewers expect to be covered? And do you have any spoilers that you can share with respect to some golden nuggets?
Well, I'll look through my list and I'll see what I've got and see what I can tell you. Mike Kennox is on first. In fact, he's on today. So that was Millionaire Marketing Mindset. That was a very interesting session. Over an hour I got Mike, and we drilled in a lot of stuff. And part of it was how he created $1 million launches and how he got there. Yeah. And the challenges he had to get there. So Mike's got a lot of challenges in terms of the way he had to learn. So he had essentially a learning disability, so he had to learn a different way. So it's quite interesting the strategies used. It's really great content. Andrew Gazowski, he's one of the largest mobile app builders in the world. So he was very interesting about how he got there. He didn't want to get a job after. The theme actually through this was a lot of people didn't want to get a job after they left college. And it was like, I'd start a business, right? But the thing is, these guys were smart. Like when I asked a question like, have you failed before? And it's like, like, no, this is my first business. And you go, wow, they knew, because they got the power of information. They can go back and get all this stuff, right? I started a small business. Yes, there was stuff, but there wasn't much available. There wasn't a lot of internet. So these guys are smart guys. They've researched it and done it the right way. Processes. Jim Edwards, which is an absolute laugh. Like, he's such an entertaining guy, but he chucks out some gold nuggets on copywriting, like really good stuff about. And it's just for him, it's a formula. It's a mathematical formula. Right. Like this copy. So it was quite like anybody can do it kind of thing. It was quite great. Thomas Umstadt, he's an author, but he also built a platform called My Book Table, which is for which we use to promote your own books for an author perspective. He was so interesting. I actually asked him to do 2 interviews for me, and we did it the hottest day I think on record in Australia, and it was boiling hot there too. Well, so we're sweating. It looked like we're under pressure. But he did an interview on how he got Kickstarter up and running and how he doubled money. And also how to write a proper author website, which is quite interesting. Kyle Reinhold from Webinar Jam talks about webinars. Dave, who creates a thing called HubStuff, which we used a long time to screenshots of sites. He was very interesting because he creates a lot of content. Yep. One of the things he does is he actually shows all his figures to the world. So you can go to a website and you can see all his financial figures, all his revenue, who's quitting, who's asking for refunds, everything is up there. So he says works really well for him because media want to talk to him. Yeah. So he's fully transparent with his numbers. Live, these figures are coming through live. Wow. So it's quite interesting kind of, thing. Everett, as we know, talking about masterminds, sort of a follow-up from our podcast. It was very interesting stuff. Nutsa Belamiso is about 5-star entrepreneur. She's really lovely lady, and she's got some great energy, and she talks about a lot of stuff that, you can relate to her because she's been through that journey. So it's quite an interesting thing, like 5-star entrepreneur. Jane Jackson, Australian career coach, done almost everything you can think of in her life, from being a model to doing PR to coaching. Quite an amazing lady. She had some really great advice. Kelly Roach, she is a sort of a high performance coach for small business. Really interesting story, and she's got some great stuff, about podcasting. We're going to get the list here.
I don't know if we're going to get through the whole list, John. We're running out of time, but
we're going to run out. Victoria Griggs' Facebook.
I'll be on there as well, talking about the
on the list here.
authority acceleration formula, and basically how you can grow your authority in 100 days or less. And there's a lot of great talent, a lot of great entrepreneurs that have something very unique and different to offer you with respect to building or growing their business, or strategies that you can use and implement into your business to help you build, grow your business, your brand, your income, your exposure, serve more people, and make a bigger impact in people's lives. So, John, it's all the time that we have. I personally want to thank you very much for being on the show and sharing with us about sort of what you went through to create the virtual summit. And don't forget, for anyone that's just joined us, or if you're just watching this, you can get access to the summit by clicking on the link that I posted in the comments section. It's Evolvepreneur, and then I think it was John Anthony McCabe. The link is in there. Just click on the link. That takes you to my speaker page, but if you just scroll down a little bit, you can get your free ticket, your free day pass, or you can buy the all pass, which gives you basically lifetime access to all of these videos from all 19 speakers. So you can pick and choose whether you want to just every day get a free day pass, or if you want to get the all pass. So you can go ahead and do that. Like I said, the link is in the link.
You're on Thursday.
I'm on Thursday.
You're on Thursday.
Is my interview actually Thursday?
Yes, your interview comes up on Thursday. So you're doing the hot seats and your interview comes up on Thursday as well.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys will watch my interview, and then you'll get to participate in the hot seat. Don't forget about the hot seat that's coming up. John, do we have a specific link for that?
I can pop that in the chat later for you if you like.
Okay, so we'll pop that in the comment section, so you'll have access to the link as well for joining us on the live interaction sort of hot seat, so where you can actually ask some of the speakers specific questions after you've watched their interview. So like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. If you haven't done so, make sure you like, love, share this on your Facebook feed, as well as any business pages that you're associated with. Again, John, I want to thank you very much for being on the show. And don't forget to check out the virtual summit by clicking on the link. So with that, I want to say thanks to everybody, and just get you to stick around for these closing remarks.
Thanks, John.
Thanks. Well, thanks for joining me on today's John A. McCabe Show, where we work with entrepreneurs, business owners, authors, experts, and speakers get seen, get heard, get noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. Now, also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now, if you're someone who's looking to take your business to the next level and want to get some coaching advice, why not apply to be a guest on today's show? Now, for most entrepreneurs, we want to create a life of our own, create our own path, and do what we can to reach our own desired outcome, which is generally freedom. Freedom to choose what we want to do, when we want to do it, and with whom we want to do it. A life that's full of options and choices, where we worry less about money and more about the quality of time that we spend with others. Now, a great way to make that happen is to leverage other people's knowledge, time, and skill sets. Step one to reaching our freedom life is to realize that you can't do it alone. Working with a coach or being involved in masterminds is a great way for entrepreneurs to move their business forward. Now, a coach can help you shorten the time frame to get you from where you are to where you want to be, while being part of a mastermind is meant to bring entrepreneurs together, all with the goal of helping each other move forward with their business. Now, the second step to creating the life you envision for yourself as an entrepreneur is to implement systems into your business so you can streamline your operations, leverage systems, and free up your time to focus on your family, having fun, and the highest leverage activities in your business. You know, the activities that get you the biggest return on your time invested, the ones that truly make you money. Now, sometimes we just don't know what systems we need, how to implement those systems, or even have the time to find out what is needed. Now, working with a coach or consultant that understands, uses, and specializes in systems that can streamline your operations can help save you time, aggravation, and make you a lot more money. Now, for example, having a system or strategy that allows you to leverage just 15 hours of your time into enough repurposed content to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device is a great example of leverage. Now just imagine a system where you invest just 15 hours of your time and the end result is you're a #1 best-selling author. You have enough content that's going to get you seen, get you heard, get you noticed anywhere, anytime, on any device. You have a successful podcast. Now it's automatically attracting more attention, giving more value, and generating more leads, which enables you to attract an abundance of paying customers. Now this is also known as the Authority Acceleration Blueprint. Now to find out more about the Authority Acceleration Blueprint coaching program or mastermind, then contact me via my website at johnamccabe.com or connect with me through my show's Facebook page. Now again, thank you for joining us on today's show, and I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow's show when I have another great guest on discussing their business and accelerating their authority. So have yourself an amazing day, and I look forward to seeing you again real soon.